What's up, YouTube? What's going on? What's up, YouTube? What's going on? And welcome to my channel. And today we will be featuring 3 true creepy roommates horror stories animated. Well, basically, we will be watching scary animation that are based on a true story. True story, I said. Let me fix my OBS real quick. Hold on. Sorry. No. Just nice and easy. No. Just like that. Okay. Discord. Okay, cool. The mic, everything is high. Okay, cool. Our gaming capture is high as well. Okay, cool. We are good. Okay. Ready up. And before we go into this video, please be sure to like and subscribe and share this video. Well, my channel isn't it big, but yeah, please be sure to leave a subscribe button, and yeah, comment down below which was your scariest part of the animation. Let's go. Quick zoom in. Yeah.
Freshman year was my first time living away from home, and I was supposed to be stepping into the best years of my life. But honestly, I was way more stressed about having to share the best years of my first time living away from home, and I was supposed to be stepping into the best years of my life. But honestly, I was way more stressed about having to share space with a total stranger. All that anxiety kind of melted the second Ria showed up on move-in day. She was quiet, studious, and almost ridiculously polite. She helped me unpack without even being asked, and even offered to take the bed by the window, even though it got direct sunlight. We got to talking about our majors, where we're from, and clicked, like we were on track to be accidental dorm besties. By the end of the first week, Ria had started leaving little handwritten reminders on our shared desk that made me feel weirdly taken care of. But some moments threw me off. I noticed it for the first time when she was on the phone with her parents. She'd been talking in her usual soft dialect before. Suddenly, her voice caught a sharp and husky undertone, as if someone had flipped a switch. When she hung up, I asked if she cloned voices like that often. She looked at me like I had grown 2 heads and said she knew nothing about it. One night, I woke up at 2:13 a.m. to low whispers from her side of the room. I lay there in the dark and listened as Ria argued with someone. Her voice shifted between soft and sharp, as if 2 people were having a conversation. I looked over, and she was alone in her bed, facing the wall. I squinted, but couldn't see a phone or anyone else there. The next morning, I brought it up. Ria just stared at me, like I'd started speaking another language. She said she didn't remember and had slept straight through the night. She looked genuinely confused, so I dropped it. A couple of days later, the sticky notes started appearing in different handwriting and with different expressions. Instead of reminders, they read things like,
"Stop watching her. She's not your friend."
I found one taped to my laptop and another inside my textbook. I asked Ria if she'd seen anyone come into our room. She insisted she was clueless. The day after that, I'd put my jacket on my desk chair and found it hanging in my closet. My shoes would migrate from the door to under my bed. They were small things that anyone would easily dismiss as their own forgetfulness. Except I knew I wasn't forgetting. One afternoon, I came back from class, and Ria was in the shower. I was looking for my charger and opened her closet by mistake. Taped to the inside of the door was a photo of me, maybe taken from Instagram, and underneath, scribbled in that same messy handwriting, was,
"She knows."
I stood there staring, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. The shower turned off. I closed the closet door and sat at my desk with my heart pounding. When Ria came out, I asked her directly if she'd put the photo there. She looked at me like I was crazy, said she'd never been on my Instagram. I should have moved out then. But I was 18 and didn't want to cause problems, and part of me still believed there was a reasonable explanation.
This game, you're not ready for it.
That night, a storm rolled in and knocked the power out. The whole floor went dark. I was in bed, scrolling on my phone, when I heard footsteps circling my bed. I kept my breathing steady and pretended to be asleep. The footsteps stopped right next to my head. I could hear someone breathing above me. A second later, I felt the coldness of metal pressing against my throat. My breathing picked up as Rhea lowered her mouth to my ear and whispered,
You weren't supposed to find out.
The lights flickered back on, and I screamed. Rhea was standing over my bed, holding a kitchen knife. Her face was blank, and her eyes were wide and dilated.
Hey Rhea. Bam! It's simple. Yes, she has a knife. Yes, she has a knife, but at least have a certain reflex, bro. There has to be a reflex. Somebody is holding a knife at you like this, bro. Yes, I know you should not, you know, fight back, but you should just submit. But bro, it's not even close anymore, bro. Like, I genuinely feel like, okay, maybe I'm over exaggerating.
Thrills seemed to snap her out of the trance. She looked down at her hand and started screaming. She dropped the knife and backed against the wall. She was crying and asking what happened. Why was she holding that?
So maybe she's basically two different persons in one human or body, so she got two sides of personalities.
Why was I looking at her like that? She genuinely didn't remember standing over me with a knife at my throat. The RA heard the screams and came running with campus security. They took statements from both of us. Rhea was hysterical. She kept saying she didn't know what happened, that she'd been asleep, and then the lights came on and she had a knife in her hand. They moved me to a different room that night. Rhea was taken to the campus counseling center and then to the hospital. I found out later she'd been diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder when she was
Complex mental health condition characterized by the presence of two or more distinct identities that controls behavior accompanied by significant memory gaps, usually stemming from severe repetitive childhood trauma. Yeah, probably childhood trauma.
15, had been in treatment, but stopped medication when she started college. The other personality had been there the whole time, and it was the one who wrote the notes, moved my things, and saw me as a threat. And that night, during the blackout, it had taken control completely. They sent Rhea back a day later. Her folks withdrew her from school to ensure she got proper treatment. I graduated and never saw her again. Throughout my college years, I took up part-time gigs and lived in a single dorm room that cost more than I could afford because I couldn't share space with someone else. Can't trust that the person I go to bed with is the same person who will be there when I wake up. I know now that people can have whole other versions of themselves living inside them that write in different handwriting and speak in different voices and hold knives in the dark. I wonder what would have happened if the power hadn't come back on when it did, if those lights had stayed off for another 30 seconds, if Rhea's other self had finished what it started. I'm grateful I never had to find out.
Rhea, I'm sorry, you might have a certain diagnosis, but you gotta go, man. I'm sorry, bro, right now. Okay. Comment down below what story 1 did to you and rate it out of 10. I'll probably give it a 7 out of 10 because that's actually kind of traumatizing. Because number one, you're in the same room as this individual in a college dorm. So yeah, had those lights not flickered on, bro. Had those lights stayed dark, could have been GG's to the throat.
Moved into Michael's apartment a month after losing my job at the warehouse. I was 21, had $800 to my name, and was completely out of options. The Craigslist listing advertised an available room with utilities included for $300 a month. It was suspiciously cheap for the area, but I wasn't in a position to be picky. Michael answered the door wearing a white t-shirt and jeans that looked like he'd been wearing them for ages. He was maybe 35 and had the kind of mid-face that could be easily forgotten. The room he showed me was just as unimpressive. It only had a mattress on the floor, a closet with a missing door, and a window facing a brick wall. But at that time, even the bare room had felt like my best option. I agreed to move in the same evening. The apartment started feeling wrong right away, though I couldn't pinpoint why. Maybe it was the excessive cleaning or the lack of furniture and personal touches in the house. The living room had a single couch, a TV, and completely bare walls. When I asked how long he'd lived there, dude said 5 years, but the place looked like he'd moved in yesterday. That first night, I woke up at around 2 a.m. to a low murmur from somewhere in the apartment. When I looked, Michael was standing in the bathroom with the light on, talking to the mirror. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but his lips were moving, and he kept nodding like the reflection was responding to him. I closed my door quietly and got back into bed, told myself he was on the phone or maybe rehearsing for something.
Not on 2:30 a.m. or did he say 2 a.m. on the dot? But still, it's flipping past midnight. He's talking to a mirror, talking about he's probably rehearsing for something. No, he's not on the phone. He's not rehearsing. He's speaking to a ghost or a demon, bro. There's no way. Tell me, bro. Comment down below on how you would have reacted if you saw a certain individual who lives with you talking to himself in the mirror at past midnight. There's no way, bro. See, dumb excuses like this. Oh, he's probably talking on the phone, bro. This was gonna get you killed. Just continue. In fact, move out, bro.
The next morning, by the time I woke up, Michael had already prepared coffee and offered me a cup. While I was drinking it, he grinned and said, "You should watch more quietly next time, Clay." I stared at him, stunned. I don't know what you mean. I stammered. "Last night, when you opened your door, the hinges squeak." He chuckled, taking a sip. "It's fine, though. All of them initially make the same mistakes." "All of who?" I asked, but he'd already gotten up and walked out, humming some old song. The conversation had made me uneasy. Over the next few days, I started paying more attention and noticed Michael almost always kept the door down the hallway bolted. When I asked him about it, he said it was the basement. "It has some really personal stuff and is totally off limits. Please, never go down there, okay?" But I'd hear him spend nights down there. I told myself it was none of my business. I was paying rent for a room, and what
But curiosity will take you far, man. In fact, curiosity will either take you far or take you to your death.
he did in his basement wasn't my concern. Then, one night, I woke up and heard him unlock the basement door. I lay there in the dark, listening to his footsteps descend. I tossed and turned. At the end, curiosity got the better of me, and I got up. I opened my door and snuck out. The basement door was open, and light was illuminating the staircase. I could hear Michael's soft murmurs and occasional hiccups. He was talking to someone. I crossed the hallway and started down the stairs, making sure the steps didn't creak under my weight. As I descended lower, an awful odor made my head spin. I covered my nose with my elbow and kept going. My heartbeat had picked up, and bile rose in my throat. From the bottom of the stairs, I saw that Michael was kneeling on the concrete floor with his back to me. He was sobbing, embracing a log-like thing covered with a tarp. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Duff. I didn't want to. You have to understand, it had to be done."
Evacuate now.
He pulled back the tarp. I saw what was underneath, and my legs almost gave out. It was a decomposed body, so much so that I couldn't tell who it was. The smell hit me, and I had to cover my mouth to keep from gagging. Michael kept talking to it, running his hand over what was left of its hair. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and started recording.
Bro, if the flashlight goes on and you're recording, bro, or you hear the or the clicking sound like we're so you can take a photo, right? It's GG's, bro, because he's gonna join that dead woman over there, or dead man, whatever that thing is over there, bro.
Got maybe 30 seconds of footage before I backed up the stairs as quietly as I could. Somehow, I got into my room and
Why'd you have to close the door like that?
locked the door before I called 911. My heart was hammering so hard I could barely speak.
You don't know what an AI work management platform is? Okay, let me tell you. Here's 3 new AI-powered changes to the Monday.
The police arrived within 15 minutes. I met them outside and showed them the video. They went in with their guns drawn. I waited on the sidewalk, expecting to hear shouting or a struggle. But when they brought Michael out 5 minutes later in handcuffs, he wasn't fighting. He was smiling, as if he was relieved. As they walked him past,
Hey, what's up? What's up with the Wi-Fi? Okay, I'ma just do the OG trick. Just click pause. And then you click play.
me, he looked right at me and said, "Thank you. I've been needing someone to see." The officers took him to their car. One of them stayed behind to talk to me. They'd found the body was of a man named David, who had been Michael's roommate for a long time. The officer explained that Michael had lost control during a heated argument one night and killed David in a fit. He was dead for months. Michael had kept him in the basement all that time. When they searched the apartment, they found journals filled with pages about his guilt. Michael wanted to turn himself in, but couldn't make himself do it. I desperately wanted someone to find out and force his hand. I just happened to be that someone. It has been a year, and I'm still messed up. I'm crashing back at my parents' place, got a new gig, and I'm talking to a therapist who knows all about this trauma. But I can't shake it. I'm still the kid who went down those stairs. My parents are insisting I get out and live my life, that someday I gotta move on, because they ain't gonna be there for me forever. I tell them that just thinking about getting a new roommate gives me serious anxiety.
Yo, rate that video out of 10. I'm gonna probably say a 5, to be honest, man. It wasn't that scary. Cause bro, it was just nonchalant, bro. The only scary part was how he just looked facially, man. But yeah, man.
I was scrolling through apartment listings for the 5th time that week, getting more desperate with each refresh.
I've low-key noticed that this is the same voice actor for the past 3 stories.
My lease was up in 10 days, and I'd been turned down by almost every place I could actually afford. That's when Suzanne's listing popped up. She was out to share her apartment. That's master bedroom she already occupied. I texted her, and she told me she just wanted a roommate who wouldn't vacate in 2 months and paid on time. I wanted something longer term, too. It sounded like a deal. We exchanged maybe 10 messages before I agreed to move in.
Bro, isn't it sad that you have to pay in a planet for you to live in, bro? Like this whole story that just, it's kind of clicking to me like, dang, we gotta pay to survive, food, water, like basically to live on this planet we have to pay, and if you cannot, you just die, bro.
When I showed up, an old woman answered the door, flashing her dentures. She looked maybe 70. Her gray hair was pulled back in a messy bun, and she was donning a cardigan that looked like the dirtiest fabric in the room.
Oh, you must be Mark. I'm Kathy, Suzanne's grandmother. She's at work, but said to make yourself at home. I'm just staying for the summer.
Inside, the apartment looked like the photos, except everything seemed older and more worn out. The grandmother followed me to my room, prodding me with weird questions until I answered them.
How long have you been living alone, Mark? Where's your family?
I've been out of the home since I turned 18? Father prefers the countryside.
Great. You got a wife or girlfriend who'd show up?
No, ma'am.
Very well.
She flashed me a cheeky grin that made my skin itch, like she was pleased with the answers. The room was small with a bed, a desk, and a dresser, and along the mantel, above a blocked-off fireplace, sat a row of stuffed animals facing the bed.
Don't touch those.
The grandmother said from the doorway.
They're family heirlooms. Suzanne's quite particular about them.
I told her I wouldn't. She stood there
Yeah, this household is probably spiritual.
watching me unpack for another minute before finally leaving. I heard her go into what I assumed was Suzanne's room and close the door. I didn't meet Suzanne that night, or the next day, or the day after that. Her bedroom door stayed closed the whole time. When I asked when she'd be home, Kathy said she was on an office trip and would be back in a week or so. But the old lady was always
There's no way. There's no way. Yo. You gotta be kidding me, bro. You gotta be kidding. What's up with the Wi-Fi, bro? Yo, bro. Oh, bro. Tell me this is cap. Tell me this is cap, bro. Tell me this is cap. What the flip is happening, bro? Like, damn. Oh my goodness, bro. You've gotta be kidding me, bro. I guess this is where we ended up. Yo, chat, forgive me, man. But yeah, thank you very much. Will all be it, y'all. Thank you very much for watching my today's video. And please be sure to leave a subscribe button. I'm very sorry, like this is so unprofessional. Oh, flipping hex, bro. Okay. Thank you very much for tuning into my video, and please be sure to leave a subscribe button and like, and maybe turn on your notifications. I don't know, but yeah, thank you very much for supporting me, and yeah, until next time, guys. Have a good day.